Hey everyone. Alright, so yesterday I went and saw the new Mad Max movie, Fury Road. And of course, I'm here to share my thoughts on it. Now, I am a big fan of the second Mad Max movie, The Road Warrior. And also, I very much like the third one, Beyond Thunderdome. And up until recently, I was very negative towards the original movie, the first movie. I did not like that at all. However, I have recently changed my view on it, and I actually think it is quite a solid movie for its time. Now, this new movie, I had mixed feelings about this going into it. Well, certainly when I'd heard about it, that there was going to be a new Mad Max movie without Mel Gibson, because of course Mel is and always will be Max. No one can ever replace him. And also, I didn't like the idea of there being a sequel, because I thought actually Beyond Thunderdome ended the story quite well. You know, we have the iconic shot of Mel Gibson walking off into the sunset. That's the way Beyond Thunderdome ends, and I thought that was a fitting way to bring the story to a close. So I was hoping that this movie was going to be more of a reboot or a remake rather than an actual sequel, you know, so it's rather than Mad Max 4, it's its own. And thankfully it is. I don't think George Miller has officially addressed this, but when you watch the movie, it has been made more as a reboot or remake rather than a sequel. So it would be incorrect to call this Mad Max 4. And if you look at the poster, if you watch the movie, look at the title card, Mad Max 4, it does not appear at all. It's just Mad Max : Fury Road. So yeah, it is, for all practical purposes, it is a remake, really. And I was pleased with that. I think that's one of the big things that makes this movie work. Like, they haven't tried to make a sequel, they've decided to reboot the series, do a remake, and I think that was a wise decision. Because when you watch the movie, in terms of the continuity, it doesn't fit, because at the beginning of this movie, Max still has the Interceptor. And of course that was destroyed at the end of The Road Warrior. And also he still has his leather jacket, and of course he lost his leather jacket at the end of Beyond Thunderdome. He doesn't have the blonde streaks in his hair anymore. And of course, one finer detail that should be mentioned is his left eye. That's no longer permanently dilated. Of course, in Beyond Thunderdome, Mel Gibson wore a contact lens, because obviously Max, his left eye, is permanently dilated now as a result of the injuries he sustained at the end of The Road Warrior. And of course that's no longer the case here. And of course, the most obvious one, Max isn't played by Mel Gibson anymore, he's played by Tom Hardy. So it makes sense that this would be a remake. And of course there isn't really references to the things that happened in Road Warrior Beyond Thunderdome. The argument could be made that this might be in continuity, you know, coming after the first movie, but I certainly prefer to look at it as its own entity. You know, you have the original trilogy, and then you have this one, which is a remake. You know, I prefer to think of them separately. But this movie, I really enjoyed this movie, Fury Road. It was a lot better than I expected, actually. Yeah. In relation to Tom Hardy as Max, obviously he's no Mel Gibson. He will never replace Mel Gibson. No one will. That's nothing personal towards Tom Hardy. No one will replace Mel Gibson. But Tom Hardy did a very good job. I liked the way he played he did his own thing with the part. He wasn't trying to do a Mel Gibson impression. You know, he wasn't trying to impersonate Mel Gibson. He was doing his own thing with the part, and that really worked. It did. And when you think, you know, this is a remake, it's not in continuity with the original trilogy, you can get over the fact that it's not Mel Gibson playing the part. Also, which was something which was nice, something which really hasn't happened since the first movie, they acknowledge his surname in this one, you know, Max Rokitansky, whereas of course in Road Warrior and Beyond Thunderdome it was just Max. Hell, in Beyond Thunderdome, his name's only mentioned once. Yeah, so it was nice to see his full name, Max Rokitansky. Yeah. The story in this movie is pretty reminiscent of The Road Warrior. It's got quite a simple storyline. It's effectively a huge chase sequence. And that may sound as though it might start to get a bit boring, but the way they do it, it doesn't. There's regular action, there's good character development at the same time. So if you're going into this hoping for plenty of action, you're not going to be disappointed. Of course, it is an R-rated movie. The action is tough. You don't have to worry about it being watered down. It's the way it should be. It's very tough, very intense. Full 2-hour movie. It is. It's the longest of the 4 Max movies so far. But they keep the pace going. It's got a good pace to it. Everyone does a fine job in terms of the acting. Tom Hardy playing Max, he is very likeable. Charlize Theron, she's very good. It's the better Charlize Theron movie out of this and A Million Ways to Die in the West. Nick Hoult is really good. Yeah, everyone involved. So good acting, great action. You don't. Chris Stuckman said it best. You don't have to worry about any of that shaky cam going on here. Don't worry about that. You can see what the hell is going on. No fast edits. You can fully appreciate the action sequences. You can truly appreciate the time and effort that's gone into them. Yeah. So, if you're going in for this specifically for the action, you are not going to be disappointed. What else do I want to say? It's great that George Miller came back and directed this. I don't think it would have worked without him. It feels like a Max movie, it really does. In terms of the look of this movie looks really good. The visuals are brilliant, and the practical effects, need I say more, practical every time, or certainly as much as possible. That's what filmmakers should go for. It looks so much better, and of course, any dispute, any debate over practical versus CGI, just go watch John Carpenter's The Thing. And of course, in more modern terms, go watch this movie. Yeah, and of course, Star Wars 7 as well. By the sounds of it, a lot of that's going to be practical. So that's brilliant. Yeah, but yeah, this movie looks stunning. You can do, big budget movie. The amount of money that was poured into this, and you can tell the production values really show, and the movie is all the better for it. A lot of money was spent on this one, a lot of effort went into it, and it really shows. You really see the results. It's a brilliant effort, and a great movie. And it really is. It's a great example in terms of plot. Less is more. Simple works best, and that's the truth. It's a really solid movie. It's a great movie. Yeah. Yeah. So that pretty much brings this to a close. If you're thinking about whether or not to go see it, I'd say go and see it. And if you're worried about how it, you know, worried about someone else playing Max. Don't be. Just go into it appreciating this is a reboot, this is a remake, you know, so don't worry about that. And I think if you go in with that sort of mindset, you know, you'll enjoy it all the more. I certainly did. I like I say, I wanted this to be a remake rather than a sequel, and it is. So, and I think it's all the better for it. So that pretty much brings this review to a close. I really enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to, and I hope if you guys decide to go and see it, I hope you guys enjoy it too. So thank you all for watching. Thanks for sticking with me, and if you go and see it, I hope you enjoy it, and if you've seen it already, I hope that you agree with some of the points that I've made. Thank you all for watching, and I shall see you all next time. Thanks everyone.